sum up a profound insight, getting closer to the truth and enlightenment isn't all about following our own preferences. Instead, it encourages us to accept ourselves fully, flaws and all, rather than just the parts we like or are comfortable with. By bringing all of our disparate parts together, we can better understand who we are as a whole. This union includes both the shining qualities we like to highlight and the hidden flaws we try to hide. In order to accept all of ourselves, including the hidden and sometimes painful parts, we must first disassemble them. It helps us put back together the shattered pieces of ourselves, bringing our whole existence into harmony and unity. Many mystics have spoken of the profound understanding of integration and wholeness that comes about as a result of this journey. In order to feel complete, it is necessary to integrate both the known and the unknown, the I am and the I am not. The characteristics we have rejected, repressed, or disowned because of guilt, loathing, or repressed pain are included. According to Albert Einstein, the darkness is absence of light. To shed light on this darkness, we must look within, learn the mechanisms of denial, and be willing to risk our comfortable status quo. It's like going on an odyssey through parts of yourself you've never explored before, or parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It might help us get over our fears and move past our hurts. However, it is precisely in these times of darkness that we find our own unique sources of power, resilience, and the ability to undergo profound metamorphosis. Taking the first step towards self-acceptance and understanding is a powerful way to move closer to our inner light. Your darkest, most driven anxieties obscure the brightest truth. Until this reality becomes apparent, you will never fully know who you are, what you are not, or why you act the way you do. Each of us has a set of demons and complexities that must be faced and incorporated into who we are. All humans go through internal conflicts, so yours certainly aren't unique. Shadows lurking within us communicate with us not audibly, but through our minds, through feelings, ideas, and even dreams. These thoughts are reverberations of our inner demons and our forgotten wounded children. As a lost or shattered piece of our own light, our shadows stand in for the parts of ourselves that we struggle to accept and love. When parts of our own inner light are obscured by darkness, we are less likely to achieve full enlightenment. The internal echo of these parts of ourselves may manifest as unfavorable ideas or feelings. They are like snapshots taken from the past, preserving the habits of the bygone era. These subconscious relics live forever in the era in which they were first conceived. For instance, if we formed these aspects of ourselves when we were 15 years old, it would still be 15 years old 20 years later. These immature parts of themselves never grow up, only physically. They are ours, and they need to feel loved once more. This intangible part of ourselves goes by many names: the wounded child, the demon, the darkness, or even the fallen light. No matter what you want to call it, is an essential and enduring facet of our humanity. This aspect of ourselves has been relegated to the darkest corners of our mind, where it lies dormant but persistent. Long after they first manifest, these emotional patterns and triggers can still reverberate within us, influencing our thoughts and actions. That's why a lot of times we just kind of attract certain situations, relationships, and people into our lives. The presence of our own inner wounded children is the unconscious cause of this. For instance, if we have feelings of unworthiness or unlovability, it may stem from being rejected or criticized as a child. This event stays with us and shapes our future. It may even show up in our dreams, where we can relive the emotions it evoked. By giving into these feelings over and over, we give power to an inner demon, which can then fuel arguments and further trauma. But if we can stop reinforcing the pattern of responding the same ways, we can free ourselves from its grip. Understanding the origin of these negative feelings and thoughts is the first step toward replacing them with self-love and compassion. And this process begins with facing this inner demon. Think about a close friend or family member who always seems annoyed when you interrupt them. They don't realize that their reaction stems from when they were a kid and their ideas were routinely shot down by their loved ones. The feeling they have during these interruptions is like a ghost from their past, a frozen relic of the anger they felt at the time. This part of ourselves persists despite our efforts to bury it. It simply waits to be recognized. It begs to be heard and set free from the shadows, and it echoes through the night. It longs to be loved again, but we withhold it because we have a negative outlook on ourselves and the world. Suppressing our dark sides often makes them more vocal and frequent in their manifestations. Sometimes we experience negative thinking, anxiety, or depression without knowing why. We can't change these aspects of ourselves, but we can start to hear their message and use it to our advantage if we accept and embrace them. Accepting and shining light on these features brings about resolution, freeing up energy that can be put to good use. Self-awareness and self-acceptance may sound simple in theory, but in practice, they can be elusive. The ego tries to conceal the shadow by denying its existence, burying it deep within the subconscious, and transferring the burden of its presence onto others. As a result, we're less likely to let ourselves fully express our unique personalities for fear of what others will think or say. So, what are our options? How do we stop the raging tempest in our heads? We must first recognize the existence of our inner wounded children before we can begin to heal our inner turmoil. These kids have an unstable emotional state because they long for love and acceptance, but are frequently met with criticism and scorn. Only by facing these demons head-on and learning from them can we find true freedom. These hidden parts of ourselves, the light that has fallen, should not be avoided or denied. We can't do what we do now without them. We can't get rid of this energy entirely, but we can channel it in positive ways that help us thrive as individuals and a community. We have an obligation to re-embrace these previously hidden realities. Parts of us that have been hurt are like demanding children who constantly disturb our peace. The first step toward our freedom is to bring our dark places into the light. The first step is to look into these shadowy parts of yourself and bring them into the light through recognition and close observation. As a result, we'll be able to get to work on them more efficiently. This can be done in a number of ways. The most effective resource we have at our disposal is our own minds. Take note of the situations that make you feel angry, throw off your equilibrium, or frustrated. Experiences that bring up strong feelings or frustrating circumstances have a purpose. One of the most powerful methods is to mentally re-experience the event that first triggered the trauma or shadow. We take in the scene and make mental notes of how it makes us feel. Then we try to look on dispassionately, as though we were watching a movie, and take in what we're seeing. We then interact with the setting by asking several questions. Were our memories accurate, or did the events transpire differently? Have we ignored any potential explanations for the way things turned out? Did the persons who mistreated us have self-awareness? Were there external factors at play that we failed to notice that influenced their actions? What role did our own internal state and actions play? What feelings were going on inside of us at the time? What might happen if we took a step back and looked at things differently? Is there anything we can learn from this introspection? Realizing that other people have their own struggles to deal with helps us see that their actions aren't always directed at us maliciously. The ability to rise above trivial dramas is facilitated by this realization, which helps us avoid taking things personally and fosters a compassionate outlook. Even if someone has harmed us on purpose, we still have the resources of kindness and forgiveness to use on them or the world around them. Still, we have the greatest potential for their use within ourselves. We give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and forgive ourselves for any possible misunderstandings or for letting unresolved conflicts cloud our days.